just gain like bass in your voice.
Is there any chance that we change with the closing banjo just for Logan, you know? Then after Logan we can speak.
I didn't understand.
Let's just go to aura now.
Horrible. Everybody pay close attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, we don't think we have the faith of the opening opposition team that, or neither do we share that with the Pakistanis who have to suffer these mysterious birds flying over their homes and killing people, right? And say that one day justice will come. We just have to wait. We agree with Rachel that it is a safer approach to kill people, but safer for only one side of the party, and we think that's the problem. Yes, lives are saved, but only American lives are saved, and more Pakistani lives are lost. And the message that she sent is that the Pakistani lives are much cheaper than American lives, and we think that's damaging in the long run. Because while she did address to some extent the arguments about drones and how they function, whether they are human or inhumane, that my speaker spoke about, there was no addressing whatsoever about the long-term repercussions, this relationship, the intense analysis and background that my first speaker provided to you about the complex relationship that, admittedly, she simplified, but it was there between the lines, between Afghanistan, United States, and Pakistan, and how this relationship will be discarded, and we will lose that ally. And I will go on to talk about that. I'm going to talk about why we regret the machinization of warfare. And firstly, and I'm secondly going to talk about why we need long-term solutions which will not arise if we continue this policy of drone attacks. But first, let's respond to the argumentation that Rachel did provide. She said that people who operate drones, the policy is not heartless; it's restrained use of drones. It's the kind of two-pronged thing which I think was just one. To that, we say a few things. We say three things. Firstly, we concede that some of this targeting is more specific. That if you put soldiers in the ground, or if you dropped cluster bombs, you would kill a lot more people, right? But what we say, though, is that the saving of the lives are unbalanced. Overly protecting or wanting to save your own life creates a skewed understanding of warfare, which then allows you to continue warfare much longer than you actually necessarily need to continue. No, thank you, to continue warfare. And I'll go on later and talk about this when we talk about, not yet, man, why we regret the machinization of war, right? Secondly, she talked about that while there is this 9-10 judges and this long process with the CIA, none of these individuals actually operate on the ground. They do all these things in cozy, air-conditioned offices somewhere in Washington, D.C., which we think is part of the problem. But even though there's such this complex process, after 2 or 3 years of these attacks and hundreds of dead civilians, not a single person has been prosecuted. We say this, again, speaks, no thank you sir, to the bias that exists within the process, and we don't have faith. Finally, she says that, look, people are not heartless. We say maybe they would not start out that way, but we think that they become. And this doesn't address the analysis that Sophia provided. You are not killing another human being. Look, you think about Abu Ghraib and all the inhumane things people did to other people, right? They degraded them, make them act like dogs, they treated them like shit, some of them shat on them. These were human beings doing things to other human beings, and war reduced them to these concepts. When that can happen, when you are face to face with these human beings, can you imagine what happens when this is a dot on the screen? How careful will you be about your targeting when you don't even have to look at that person in the eye before you kill them? We say that's what happens, that's what we regret. That leads to more carelessness, madam, not to more carefulness. And I'll take your point, yes.
Okay. Do you think that with hand-to-hand combat, you will lead to a better solution? And if you think killing them face-to-face, will this be more humane?
That dovetails nicely actually into this notion of the machinization of warfare. I don't think it's any time good to kill another human being, right? But I think if you're going to engage in warfare, you should at least have a check against the casualties of that warfare. If one side can kill another side without losing any of its own side, then the only reason for them to stop killing is they run out of people to kill, or they run out of money in which to support that killing. The only time the US backed out of Afghanistan, the reason why they're backed out of Vietnam, or backed out of Iraq, was the body count. Was because people on the ground, the soldiers, looked at other people dying and said, we can't take this anymore. Because journalists on the ground saw those people dying and said, we can't take this anymore. Or because people had to come back dying, and you said that even though one of ours dies to 10 of theirs, we don't want those individuals to die. with this increasing missionization of warfare, when it's when it's a computer game, we say that check doesn't occur. That no soldier US soldier will die, but more and more Pakistani families will continue to lose their lives because their father happened to be part of Al-Qaeda. And we'll concede that part, right? And I'll go on to talk about why you still don't reach that solution. Before that, I'll entertain closing off because I want them to take a break from me.
Even if we were to concede this idea about missionization and how it leads to insensitivity, you know there's a purpose behind drone bombings. So if we manage to prove to you that there is a big utilitarian value, would you then concede to that?
You guys are really helping me with my structure because that goes nicely into the second part about why it doesn't work, why you need long-term solutions, right? We talked about how, look, you may kill a couple of the Al-Qaeda people, but that you are saying on the other side, it's okay to kill their friends and family too, so that we kill them. Remember, that's the message that you are sending. You're telling other people it's okay to kill their children as long as we also kill their dad. And we think, firstly, that's a wrong message to send because you're not making anybody feel like you care about them. And that's the second message that you're sending. When you walk around Afghanistan and try to rebuild society and you say, we here are Americans interested in your long-term future, except if you have a relationship that is connected to someone who maybe went to a wedding of someone else and then, there was a drone attack, we think that's the wrong thing to do, right? So we say, firstly, the drones move away from all these, from what is required are long-term solutions. The drone sends a conflicting message and you need that message to work in order to create change. Safari already talked about why with every single civilian death, it gives you space to recruit 10 or 20 other people into the Al-Qaeda. There is an unending supply of terrorists, ladies and gentlemen, and you can't kill all of them. But we say what this also does is you lose two other crucial members of support. One, Hamid Karzai and the Afghans, and secondly, the Pakistani government. Hamid Karzai has to move further away from the US. How does he tell people we should trust our partner when they kill Afghans in Pakistan? When they are not there on the ground, but they send robot birds to drop bombs on their houses. You lose his support. You also lose the Pakistanis. You need the Pakistanis to get intelligence to know when and where to move these things. You need the Pakistanis to be able to turn their people. The Pakistanis are already facing the wrath of their individuals because the US infiltrated, ignored their sovereignty and killed Osama bin Laden in their lands, right? That was a slap in the face to them. With every drone attack in their land, you slap them again and again and again and again. You can't invite people to work with you if the same hand that you put out to shake their ass slaps them. We think the United States of America needs to consider the bigger picture. We are proud to propose.
Here, here.